Alright, what is up guys, it's Zero here, and today I have for you my deck profile for Bluish Flames. So, this is Liberator's, or Bluish Flames' second wave of support for Legion. This set, they basically just got Glare and his mate, the Regulation Aglavale, I think is the name of that Aglavale. But regardless, I thought I'd do a deck profile for this because the deck did change quite a bit. I'll explain the changes, I'll explain the new cards, all the good stuff, and without further ado, here is the list. So, I think the first thing that's very different from my list that you might see, that you don't see a whole lot of people playing, is the starter. I personally opt to play the Spring Breeze Messenger just because I personally don't think the two Liberator starters that people do play are very good right now at the moment. I don't think Wingull Liberator is that good, just because he got the counterblast, making your Turn 2 plays kind of scuffed, and I don't think the Guido does enough, being the new starter being the, I'll just show it right now. The Guido being the new resist starter for Liberators. It got nerfed from the TCG into to 0, but its card skill is, if you're in Legion CB1, put it into Soul, checked out 3, add a call a Liberator to the board, and has resist. I've tried with this card. I just personally didn't really like it, because I didn't think it did enough. And the reason why I like the Spring Breeze is because by playing Spring Breeze, you have the ability to make a turn 2 play without using your Aglavale, this Aglavale, the Oath Aglavale, I think it's the name, yeah, the Oath Aglavale, to make a board and call for extra attacks. This lets you make a turn 2 play, push for damage, call an extra intercept, while holding this to do a follow-up, because my biggest problem with shotgunning or Aglavales early is that if you don't have a way to follow up after opponent answers your board, you're kind of stuck doing nothing, or with a really bad hand, really low hand size. Yeah, that's why I like the Spring Breeze. It lets you make a turn 2 play without having to commit the Aglavale, and so instead you can use the Aglavale to answer their board after they dealt with you after using your Spring Breeze. So yeah, that's why I personally choose to play the Spring Breeze over the Wingull, which I just don't think makes your turn 2 a little too clunky, and the Guido, who I just think doesn't do enough. So yeah. Next up, grade 1s. PG. PGs are PGs. It's a Liberator name. Sometimes you need to call Booster, and this thing is a Booster. So yeah. For Balin, when a Blast for Liberator is called in front of it, you countercharge 1. If you're Vanguard Liberator, everything in this deck is a Liberator. It's countercharge. There's no reason not to play this. Every Liberator deck has played this since it came out, for a reason, because it is countercharge, and countercharge is never a bad thing. And the new thing that I play now is the Josephus. I was never really a fan of this card. I'm still honestly not a fan of this card, but skill is when this card's called from deck, if you're Vanguard Liberator, Soul Blast 1 to draw a card. Seems pretty good on paper, but like when you draw it, this card's just a brick. It doesn't do anything, just a 7k booster. Well, that's why I'm not the biggest fan of this card, but now you kind of have to play just because Barkle isn't as good anymore. In my opinion, in current meta, you don't need it as much, and because Glare is like pretty heavy on cost, both counterblast wise and hand wise, the extra draw from the Josephus can actually be helpful. So that's why I play it. I don't like playing it, but I just don't think Barkle does enough at the moment for the deck. So Josephus it is. And finally, the one of slot is the Zoran. This card skill, on blank call from deck, put in the Soul, checked out 3, call Liberator, just like a do-over kind of thing, where like if you don't get what you want and you see this, you can put in a Soul and try again. Also thin the card out of your deck, because what you put in a Soul is not in your deck anymore. Just a nice full one up. Again, I don't think Barkle does enough, so I think the Josephus is probably, or not Josephus, the Zoran is probably a little bit better than the Barkle right now, so yeah. And that's it for grade 1s. Onward to grade 2. First off is the Blaster Blade Liberator. I don't know what he does by now. On play, if you're running out the Liberator, CB2, retire something. With the Balin CB1, you could just not use it retire at all and just use it as a counter charge engine. But yeah, it's retire, it's Blaster Blade, it's good in this deck. Needed for 2 other cards, being the Star Rain and the Zenith. Speaking of Star Rain, you have the Star Rain. On play, you can put a Blaster Blade Liberator from your drop zone or soul back to your deck to call the top card of your deck afterwards, prioritizing drop before soul. So yeah, it's a free superior call. Way to proc your Glare for free, free +1, 2, so it's pretty good. Wish I had space for more, but you kind of have to make space for the new Aglavale just as a mate now, so yeah. Next up is the Oath Aglavale, the old Aglavale on play. If your Vanguard is a Liberator, CP1, checked out 3, call a Liberator from the top of your deck. to an empty rearguard circle. Oh yeah, Starion also calls an empty rear. Just actually notice what's actually relevant sometimes. So that is the note. She also only calls open rear. This Agloville also only calls open rear. So calls the open rear, free +1, or a cheap +1, not a free +1. It does cost a counter plus. So cheap +1 is also a mate, so double duties is that. Just a good card all around. This card is definitely probably the best card in the deck because CB1 +1 is never a bad thing. Every deck wishes that had an Agloville. And second, lastly, is the new Agloville, the Regulation Agloville. I might have mixed up the names, but this is the Agloville that legions with the Glare. So during your turn, if your Vanguard is a bluish flame, so specifically the bluish flame, so in this deck everything but the Zeniths, he has +2k, so it's an 11k attacker, and when he's called from deck, you can Soul Blast 1 to check top 5 and add a bluish flame from your deck to your hand. So again, bluish flame means anything but the Zeniths in this deck, so you can use them early to search your ride targets. You can use them early. You can use them mid to late game to search glare fodder. Against something like the leaders, you can use him to search for a re-ride. This card is actually pretty versatile. Initially, I wasn't the biggest fan of this card, but after playing around with it, I've definitely come around to liking this card quite a bit. Initially, I only had him as a 2-of, but after playing around with it a bit more and realizing the card itself isn't actually that bad, and the fact that I have somewhat mate problems sometimes for like one's in damage, one's in soul, and then with a soul blast, I can't legion again. I bumped it up to 3. I definitely think there is an argument to play for cutting the Starion down to 1, but I think having the Starion to proc the free superior call is still pretty valuable. So yeah, the Liberator definitely suffered from too many good cards and not enough space to play them all. So yeah, like you definitely would want to play like 4 of all of these cards if you could, but the Blast Blade and the Aggle are definitely more important. So that's why you play 4 of each of those, and you play around with 2-3 between these two, because you don't want to play 4 of one of these and then 1 of the other one, because they're both equally important. So yeah. And that's it for grade 2s. And finally, grade 3s, Ganslot Zenith. Start with him first. Limb Break 4 on attack, CB1, for rear, bottom of your deck. Called Hellcar your deck, plus 10k. It's cool, it's there as a finisher if you need it. But you're playing for the other skill, call from deck, put him back in the deck to call a Blaster Blade Liberator from your deck or your drop zone, prioritizing deck before drop. So yeah, you mainly play him just as a card you can call to get to the Blaster Blade, which is good. So yeah, that's really all you play for. Finisher's skill is there, but it's not really relevant that much for the most part. The one of is the Prominence core skill is if you're in Legion and something with the same name as your Vanguard is called from top of your deck, he gets 3k in a crit. Basically never comes up here just because you're only playing the 1 core now. You're only playing the 1 core. So yeah, this skill is basically never relevant. His other skill does come up if you happen to ride it. Once per turn, Counter Blast 1, retire a Liberator to check out 4 and call a Liberator from among them to the board. It's there, it helps you filter out the garbage in your hand or on the board, like Dead Josephus's, Zeniths in your hand that you want to legion back later. It's nice, but you're really only playing because it's Bluish Flame name, because Glare requires a Bluish Flame discard. So having 1 extra name is always good. If he didn't require Bluish Flame discard, you probably wouldn't play it, so yeah. Or either that, or you play 4 cores and 1 Percival. I've tried that, but I've gone back to playing 4 Percival just because I think Percival is the better card overall. Speaking of Percival, his skill is, both of these Legion with the old Agloville, we don't know. The triple rare Agloville, and then his skill is on Legion, check out 4, call Liberator from among them. So just on Legion +1, pretty good, and 1 attack Vanguard plus 2k. So simple but good card. Simple but effective. And Bluish Flame name, so it's discard for Glare. And finally, the new star of the show, the Prominence Glare. So he legions with the double rare Agloville, and his skill is when a card is called from the top of your deck, if you are in Legion state, you can CB1, discard a Bluish Flame. So that is why you need to play this many other Bluish Flames, being the Percival and the cores. And he gets a crit, and he gains the Glory skill. Your opponent cannot PG unless they also discard grade 3 or higher. So then you know this skill you can do as many times as you want, but you only get the crit, but you do not force your opponent to discard extra grade 3. So you could do this 3 times, get him up to like 3 times to make it 4 crit, but your opponent would still only need to discard like 1 grade 3 to block it. So yeah. And the other skills, the same thing as cores. CB1, sack off a Liberator to check out 4 and call Liberator from among them. So yeah. The new finishers, the new pressure tool for the deck. And the card that this card replaced from the previous deck was the Garmor, and that's because Garmor just does not do anything in the current meta right now. If you look at the top 5 decks, in my opinion, I put Bermuda, Brawlers, Kagero, Revengers, and Deleters. Let's go in order. Does nothing against Fish. Does nothing against Brawlers. Against Kagero, you stop Neoflames from killing your back row, and you stop Dragon Newt, but you do not stop the Great. The Great can still hit your front row, and still push you for extra damage. Again, it does stop Revengers stuff to Blaster Dogs from retiring your stuff, but that's kind of whatever, to be honest. And so everything is still just Phantom Blast or Abyss you, Restand, or Quarterback to crit you. So these stuff ways to deal extra damage past your Garmor. And finally against Deleters, it does absolutely nothing against Deleters because they delete your Vanguard and they lock your stuff. So yeah, doesn't do anything against that either, so yeah. And in the sense of the slightly lower tier decks, it does stop Seekers, kind of, but they have Exceed, so they can just crit you. It would stop the Mirror, but their answer to your Garmor would be their own Glare, so you get screwed like that anyway, so... Garmor just doesn't do anything in the current meta right now, so I don't think it's even worth considering. Heck, I think a Monarch Sanctuary Alpha is probably worth considering over Garmor right now, just because Link Joker is pretty common. So yeah, that aside, Garmor aside, yeah, this is the new deck for Liberators, or I guess Bluish Flame. This deck is very Bluish Flame centered now. Tell me what you guys think about this deck down below in the comments. Like, get subscribed, all the good stuff. Awesome paintings for you guys after this, as per usual, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.